I have questions for Nvidia. Like, I know the industry is big. There's a lot of stuff leveling up graphics and performance. There goes a lot of stuff into making this stuff, isn't it? I am currently, you know, is Nvidia necessary? You know, most of my computations are happening on CPUs. I don't get the whole GPU thingy. I've mainly noticed that GPUs, well, I am using a GTX, two GTXs, so I don't necessarily know how much of a difference it is to use RTX in my workflow. But CPUs are doing fine. Of course, it's not real time. Is that necessary? It's probably necessary when I start coding. But then again, when I start coding, it can be real time, but just after a while, after a certain point of computation, it might become slower and slower and slower and slower. So close, baby. Okay, we're gonna put you here, and I'm gonna hope. Oh, it's gonna go. It's gonna go. It's gonna go. Oh my god! I saved. Yes. I did it. Da 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 da. Mathematics. I don't know why I'm recording this part. Nvidia, I have questions. I'm kind of like, I know I am in the middle of something. I am in the middle of doing math. There is a lot of math. I'm doing the computation, doing the math, but I can't keep track of every last bit and part of everything else. Like, I've been going through my folders, and when I go through my folders, I just come across stuff that I just forgot about, or I'm on Google and then I see an image and I'm like, oh yeah, I should use this in a new project, and then I forget, and then you know, I have so much things that I have notes and notes and notes and notes. What I'm probably never gonna read them ever again. I also wonder, like, in how far do Microsoft and those platforms like actually store the data that you remove permanently on their drives? Because, like, if you think about it, in the past, anything and everything would have been stored. You know, you might have like some brilliant person and he or she removes their drives, and you know, all the knowledge is gone. So you know, unlike, well, of course that happens throughout history, and then even then you can't have, well, maybe in some sense, well, if you well, I don't know, if every person on earth right now would write a book, you would have 8 billion books out there. And because you would have 8 billion books out there, if you then the next generation you would have some people read their stuff. How many people you would need? Like 8 million of those people reading like 1,000 books. Well, of course, maybe reading 1,000 books in their lifetime is not all that much. It's like a book a day for you know, 3 years or something. So there is still a possibility of attaining knowledge, but then of course not everything is going to be necessary, and only you'll have to focus and collect data and find the right ones and dissociate between what's important and what's not important, and so on and so forth. I'm currently actually surprised about the fact that my background is just stuck. I know my computer is currently being all buggy and shit. Now, I don't know, I feel like I am finally at that point. I am at that point in time where I was hoping for. I am making up shit that I know for a fact is unretrievable on Google. So I can start making up shit now by combining different disciplines into new disciplines. And I know something's going to change because my awareness is shifting more towards maybe not necessarily UX UI, but different levels, different layers of how a computer works, and how I am going to start using it now. I know from from the background and from the things that I've been working on, it's going to be about computing the universe. I don't want to. I still have a feeling of like I don't want to do games. I don't want to do games anymore. I don't think that is fun. Maybe to make and to have some. I think it's a tremendous waste of time. I would rather, in one way or another, teach. But maybe I could use a game as a teaching tool, being the game master. Do I need to be the game master? I don't know. I might. I definitely feel like I will have to or want to talk, and I need to make sure that I have the right input and stuff like that. I've been using a lot of automation. I do need to start scripting myself. I know how that works. I don't necessarily. The problem to me currently is that I don't know all the words, the code word, the words, what is the name even? Like the words that refer to which code needs to execute what, or like a dot get get folder double slash and then the folder name, and then making arrays, and from those arrays pulling data, and then making that data feed that data into a processor by feeding it through an algorithm that then processes it. I know that it is going to happen, but I'm missing kind of the key, some of the key components that would enable me. And then what am I going to do with that, and what is that going to lead to? I know for a fact that at least my YouTube output has tremendously increased. I did have a down period, and there are several bottlenecks. I need more video footage. I probably should go through Pexels again and try to find more. I need to create more in Blender. I don't feel like there is something changed definitely with what I did. With my subscription, although I kind of felt like it was stupid to get the subscription, because I feel like if I use this subscription to an external render service, I would like to have something render out continuously. So I now need to also model things. I need to make sure that everything is modeled, but then I need to I need to make a shit ton of models, which takes time. I need to make sure that they're optimized. They need to be good. I want to use nodes, geometry nodes. I need to make sure that I can like decimate everything that I do and break it down and rebuild it and break it down, and I know what my movie is going to look like, and I know every part, and a lot of it is already done. um, in part, and you know, it's probably going to be a lot of recombination of things, and I don't know how it's going to work out. And I feel like everything goes so slow, but then I look back and it's like, actually I really did a lot of stuff, and computation makes everything faster and you know, stronger and everything. Whenever I have like a down period when things aren't happening very much, it's never really slowing down from a certain point, because I am recording every day. A recording is like 30 FPS. It's an image per. I know that it sounds stupid to say, like, to think in like images. And to me, when I started out, I started, you know, doing I drew drawing on paper, doing sketches, and then I switched to my computer, and then I did like a painting a day that wasn't really good, and then although I had like experience, but like you know, switching to really painting in Photoshop and stuff like that was really hard for me. I couldn't get a grip on it, which Blender saved my life with. But also, like, and then everything started picking up once I went into computation and to generation, and then, well, then I think, like, there's so many companies that do stuff like that. Aren't they already doing what I'm doing or whatever? I have no clue, and I don't feel like that is necessarily the case. I think it is in part the case, but they are, or I am mainly, because I am alone, and I need to use computational power. I need to use more maths than someone who would be in like a studio and then have to just code, and of course there's math there as well. But when you're in a studio, I guess, I am guessing in part, there a lot of the creation of games or movies is about modeling and creating things. Of course, there are people who will use modular thinking, but they are going to likely be paid to just model a model and then rig it and then make sure that everything is fine, and the lighting is fine and done and everything else. But they aren't, I feel like they aren't thinking about, like, for example, having an XYZ axis and spawning an entire universe from the single of the XYZ axis, which would be what I have described behind me. I know the math doesn't really necessarily stack up. It's both, or it is maybe not written correctly, but it's both like meant to, it's meant to prove a point and meant to instill like an idea, or kind of like an illustrative way of using math, which of course the math is always like well, in part a way to illustrate something to a person who knows the complexities of what goes into the specific math we are talking about. I feel like this is one that I could upload in one way or another, but I don't feel like there's yet any substance for. I want to speak directly into the microphone and speak in a way where I'm informing someone. Now I have done that. I'm thinking about doing well, I hate the word technical. Doing technical stuff like how computers work is maybe like how microphone. Why would I not do how computers work if there's probably a lot of people who tell people how microphones work? But I do. Well, I have a different perspective, and I can do it from a different view. I could go into psychology as well as the microphone thingy, and like really metacognitively do the synthesis between the computer, me, and the handling, and how to think about using the computer rather than the computer. Yeah, you know, if you mainly what this thought is, how to use a computer, but never really what to use it for. Of course, there is deep learning and this and that, but like maybe I could talk about thinking and computational thinking and possibilities and a whole bunch of things like cyberspace, connecting to the internet, connecting yourself to the matrix. There's so many psychedelics. I feel like there is a lot of possibilities and complexities that I could describe and tell about that could, you know, be meaningful. I don't know what I'm currently. I do know what I'm currently doing. I need a neural net or at least a gun, a video gun. I need to create a video gun that has a capacity to project images onto, but I feel like it has to be able to do it in a 3D geometrical way. What I want to do is something that I seen when I was on a psychedelic trip. When I was on a psychedelic trip, my very first psychedelic trip, one of the things at a certain point I saw was like I was laying in a room, and at first I was watching TV and there was stuff happening there that was really that I'm not currently going to talk about, but like at some point I turned around and I lay and I just stared in front of me and there was a curtain there, and at first it was just a curtain and then it became fiery hues and vibrant colors, and then it started, you know, changing and morphing into, you know, Van Goghs and Gauguins, not exactly those things, but like really those distinguishably being capable of those styles, and then ever more it crystallized into ethereal, like angel-like beings and whatever that it was, that it changed into, yeah, mainly those things, and then at some point they disappeared again, and then the curtain kind of 360 expanded around me and became this huge psychedelic vibrant Renaissance painting that's like, you know, an open field with like brownish colors and like reddish hues, and then there's like deers there and like pine trees, and you know the really typical the green, yellow, brownish colors with red hues, and a sun that's going down that's really phenomenally awe-inspiring and beautiful. That was like one of the things that I saw, and that's something that I want to recreate in a way with like a neural net that is capable of doing the thing that psychedelics do, like connecting your visual cortex to your conceptual part or something with, and then because I was still in the room, I could still make out senses, but then like that the filter of what is in front of you is kind of like blurred with what with like neurological pathways that are being triggered in your mind, and then combining together because you're at the moment trying to reason and think, and then those things are being triggered at the same time into your consciousness, and then you're just, yeah, well, you're under a psychedelic trip, so you're hallucinating and you're seeing those things, and that's what I want to recreate in on the screen, which is kind of funny because I was watching like I said, the movie, and there things happened too that were not similar. It wasn't like that specific thing, but this was more like you know, the coming up, and then I think, yeah, I was literally watching Up. That's the fun part. I was watching Up. Was that real even? I don't know. Like Up the movie. That's funny that I'm now that I'm thinking about it, that I was watching Up when I was on my come up. on I think Bromo Dragonfly, the guy I was with said I was on LSD, but I lasted 25 hours, which isn't normal for LSD. Um, uh, but yeah, it was up, and then at some point there's like it became really slow. There was a bird there. I haven't watched the actual movie, so I don't know how much of the actual movie is what I am describing. I don't think it was. I think I scrolled through it a little bit before, after, um, somewhere after the trip, like, but there was like a bird, and for some reason I was linking creativity to the bird, and when the bird always wanted to go in hiding, and 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 then they were looking for it, and then the bird was kind of like a symbol for creativity, that if you're looking for it, you're not going to find it, you just have to do it. And that is something that I realized then. And also that it became like at some point they're at like the house thingy, and then they're going down, and that was when I was like, I don't know what happened after that point. I probably had like my high point where I was like really getting into the trip, but this was like it went like slowly towards the ground, but it got into a loop. It went into a loop where it was like going like slightly, and then it was back to there, and then it was like, and I was back there till it was almost at the ground, and then it was like touching the ground back. But like every time that it goes back, it's like not as much back as it was before, so it always goes further, but it becomes slower and slower and slower and slower, and so it's still moving forward but always going back, and then until it's like, and then it eventually landed after like sitting there for what looked like half an hour, staring at like having this like this hallucination of this thing that just kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping down. It was really weird. I would love to do that again sometime. Well, lockdowns are over, so I can go to the Netherlands to do something like that again soon. Although I don't feel like necessarily that I have to. I do want to maybe do psilohuasca, but those are very expensive. I could do ayahuasca, but psilohuasca is very, very expensive to do. I don't know how I got here. I think it has to do with the graphics cards, and because I have been thinking about how consciousness and perceptual awareness works for robotics and AI, and just because I'm doing art and it's just part of human awareness, being human, I guess. And there's so much to be thought about. That's also where like my interest in math came from, actually, like the geometry that you see, and that's also why I kind of sucked at art, and I know I had a massive art block and like really bad depression, and that kind of is what got me in part. That's not the one that got me in part. I had like a very psychedelic experience after smoking a whole plant of a wheat plant that I grew. After that, I was like in like what I felt like must have been like a psychedelic trip for months on end. I was really delirious, but it was amazing. It was one of the best times of my life, but it wore off after like a month, 6 months or something. But it was amazing experience. I felt one with everything, one with the universe. I was like Zen Buddhist. A mosquito could come and sit on top of me, and I would be like, oh, I don't care. This is like nature. This is like so beautiful. It's completely out of my mind, but like it was amazing. But it wore off. after a while, which is then the period after which I tried LSD, or at least a psychedelic. Because of that experience, I was like, is that how it is? It like it was nothing like it. It was a very, very mild form of a psychedelic trip. I didn't have like massive hallucinations or something like that, but like the connectedness and the oneness and just the weirdness of it, and the elatedness of mania probably. But I'm thinking, how that all correlates and relates and is becomes one thing, one greater whole, and I need to integrate. I feel like I have integrated. I'm at a point where I now need to expand and do things, and but I don't know. It's like I know, but I always feel like that. I always feel like I don't know what I am doing. But yet then I produce massive amounts of more work, but I am not currently employed. But I do feel some sense of like, okay, I have done a lot of stuff that's like not everyone does in the world. I don't know many people. I don't actually know any people that are currently doing what I am doing in one way or another. I know people who do branches of what I am doing, but I am, of course, they then sell their branches, of course, an amalgamation of the people they have been taught about, and but I currently don't know if I have I have a lot of similarities with a lot of branches, but I feel like I am ready to establish my own branch of or own discipline, which will then, of course, then I can teach that, and I'm mainly iffy about that because I also needed to have a sort of application. I want to move something somewhere and do something and have it create a lot of stuff, which is why I was talking about computers and how I can use computers. What are the possibilities? You can simulate 3D, simulate three dimensions. You can create games, video, automation, websites, communication. It's mainly a communication tool in one way or another. There's like, but from there it's robotics. It's like more in the 3D world, voices, sounds and voices, and algorithms to denoise, making things sound good, making everything. I feel like my room has gotten darker from where I started, but you know what I am talking about. I feel like I want to put on the lamp, but it doesn't matter. I need to establish a branch of something. I don't know many people anymore. All the smart people are, well, they're not gone. I knew a lot of smart people. People are doing different things. I don't always know what people I used to know are doing. There's always this sense of wanting to go back to the past in a some sort of way, not as literally going back into the past, but like finding out what other people have been up to. But then again, I am more interested in the future and finding new teachers. But I feel like at some point there's just not going to be any teachers anymore, and just it's all going to be about educating. And then even if there, how much can be taught, and you're always going to be a thing within a thing, and influences and a whole system of people, and I need money. Money. That's the hardest part currently. Finding a source of money, something or other that I can do. I feel like I'm connecting things in the right way, but I need to connect them up. Yeah, I don't know how social media platforms are currently working. On Flickr, I'm doing well, but of course, I just added a bunch of people and sent them to my groups and stuff like that, which is currently going to give me a skewed idea of what I am doing or where I'm at. I bet I can sort of more or less figure that out. That's not the biggest thing. I have a group now. People are talking in the group, which is fun. It's 400 people subscribed. It's like more than I could have ever hoped for. It might go up to 500 soon. I have no clue. Twitter is a thing. For some reason, I get a lot of visitors and impressions, and it's going up. It's going up. I thought it was going down for a while, but it is going up. It's been stuck on 135 for a while though. I would like to see that grow. But my stats are growing, but then Facebook is really weird. Facebook is like dead, completely dead, Which is funny because I did receive a lot of birthday wishes, even though I shut off the birthday notification thing. So I wonder how much I would have gotten if that was still turned on. And I have a lot of I've been for weeks in meetings. No job though. I have to. Is disheartening to still look for a job right now because I've been. Now, of course, I started looking for a job right at the point where the lockdowns happened. Now, of course, I was kind of looking already before that. A whole bunch of stuff went to shit. I sent out like literally I have an inbox with like 10,000 emails over the course of the summer of me responding to jobs, and then I've still in the months afterwards been doing a lot of stuff. It's only when the at the turn of the year that I started getting responses again, doing thousands of applications. I don't. If I hadn't had to do all of that, I probably would have been a lot better at my artwork. But then again, I probably learned a lot about what people are looking for by applying. I have no clue. I am going through a lot of meetings. I do have a job. I voluntary work now. Two even. One I quit, and I had people ask about prices and stuff like that. So monetizing is difficult. That's one of the things that I want to do. B2B maybe. I wonder, there are so many computer and programming and whatever companies. Why are there so many for so little stuff, and why is it all like I find it so weird. There's all these big businesses that are basically not doing much, if anything. Of course, there are so many things that couldn't be done. I have no clue, dude. I have no clue. There is so much stuff and so little to know. There is so much stuff and so little to know. It becomes more and more apparent to me how limited cognition is. It becomes really limited. It's like so limited that it's like almost insane. Like it really is.